Earlier this year, something unusual happened. A Chinese naval fleet, including some of its most advanced warships, quietly sailed around the entire Australian continent. There were no official announcements, no notifications to the Australian government, but there were live fire drills in the Tasman Sea and surveillance activity close to major shipping routes. Was it a warning shot, a show of dominance, or the latest move in China's quiet naval conquest of the Indo-Pacific? Welcome to GeoStrat, where we explore the power games reshaping our world. Stay with us as we unpack China's maritime ambitions, Australia's growing role in the Pacific balance of power, and the escalating risks of a modern naval confrontation. The high-stakes ocean. The South China Sea is no ordinary body of water. More than $3.4 trillion in trade passes through it every year. Nearly a third of all global maritime commerce. It's also believed to hold 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Add to that the sea's rich fishing grounds, and it's easy to see why so many nations are invested in what happens here. But the region is a web of overlapping claims. China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan all assert sovereignty over parts of it. China, however, claims almost 90% of the entire sea, using the infamous 9-dash line, a boundary rooted in a vague map from the 1940s. China doesn't just claim the sea on paper. It's building physical control. Since 2013, Beijing has transformed reefs and rocks in the Spratlys Islands into full-blown military bases. Think of these as unsinkable aircraft carriers, projecting power across Southeast Asia. And then there's the Paracel Islands, home to China's nuclear submarine fleet. Whoever controls these islands controls the shipping lanes between Vietnam and the wider Pacific. This isn't just defense. It's long-term dominance. When Chinese warships sailed around Australia in early 2025, it wasn't just a military exercise, it was a strategic message. Australia's response was swift. It activated maritime surveillance over the Tasman Sea. It conducted joint patrols with the US and Japan. And it doubled down on the AUKUS Pact, a trilateral security alliance between Australia, the UK, and the US. Under AUKUS, Australia is acquiring nuclear-powered submarines, cyber defense upgrades, long-range strike capabilities. China doesn't always need open war to win. It uses gray zone tactics. Coercion without combat. Its maritime militias, disguised as fishing boats, swarm disputed areas, harassing foreign vessels while avoiding direct military confrontation. In 2012, China seized Scarborough Shoal from the Philippines. Since then, the reef has served as a strategic listening post. Without firing a single shot, these tactics confuse rivals, delay responses, and slowly shift control without provoking international backlash. Freedom of navigation. To counter this, the United States and allies perform freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, sailing through contested waters to assert international maritime law. But China views these as provocations. It responds by shadowing US ships, issuing warnings, and sometimes using lasers or water cannons. The risk? One mistake, one collision, one misinterpreted maneuver, and we have a war. That's why Australia's role matters. As a stable regional democracy with high-tech naval capabilities, it's seen as a key player in upholding the rules-based order. The first island chain. China's naval doctrine revolves around breaking through the first island chain, a series of islands stretching from Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines, down to Malaysia. To project power into the wider Pacific, China must pass through this chain and dominate it. That's why Scarborough Shoal, the Spratlys, and the Paracels are so critical. And that's why Australia, sitting just beyond that line, has become a target for influence, intimidation, and strategic testing. The recent warship maneuvers weren't random. They were part of a larger rehearsal for a future confrontation. Let's imagine war breaks out in the South China Sea. The United States moves to support Taiwan. China enforces a naval blockade. Australia activates its strike fleet from Perth and Darwin. What happens? Under AUKUS, Australia becomes a launch pad for Allied operations. Chinese missiles target naval bases. Submarines patrol the Coral Sea. In days, global shipping halts. Oil prices spike. Economies crash. It's a scenario military planners are already gaming and hoping never comes true. China's naval rise isn't a secret. It's strategic, it's steady, and it's spreading from the South China Sea to the Tasman Sea. Australia has woken up. The United States is recalibrating. Japan is rearming, and Southeast Asia is holding its breath. The question is not if confrontation will come, but whether we can prevent it. This has been GeoStrat.